What's up, guys? So a little bit of a catastrophe happened in the reptile room. We had one of the biggest storms we've ever had in this house, and our garden was completely flooded. I mean, there's water literally springing up from the ground, which is really weird. That shows how high the water table is. But yep, it leaked. And I was just saying how it didn't leak, so now I have to fix leaks, even though I checked and I couldn't see anything. That means I'll just have to redo the whole roof and waterproof it. But for all the rain we had, that's all the water that came in the reptile room, which is actually pretty impressive. That's just what I wanted to let you guys know. What's up, guys? Okay, so now you've seen the roof. At least nothing happened. I mean, nothing in the reptile room was damaged whatsoever. I don't think any water even got through my ceiling. So I'm going to be letting you guys in on 5 tips before you purchase your new reptile. Okay, so tip number 1 is do your research. I know a ton of people say this, but it really is super important. And I see many people buy their pet snake, like a ball python or any other species, and say, hey, I've got this snake, how do I care for it? And that's not the way you should do it. So you must at least know a few basics about the species you're going to be acquiring, like temperature, humidity, and cage setting. What I mean by that is it an arid or a tropical species? Is it arboreal or terrestrial? Arboreal means tree dwelling, and terrestrial means on the ground. That's basically the short definition of what that means. So don't go to a reptile expo and go impulse buying. That's not the greatest thing to do. I know we've all probably at a stage wanted to do something or seen this really amazing animal and thought, I just have to buy this and I just need to get this right away. But the matter of the fact is, you haven't done research on that species and you shouldn't get it. At least now you know it's available in the reptile industry or the reptile market. So now you can do your research on that species and go purchase it at a following reptile expo when you know everything you need to know about that species. So don't be one of those people who buy the animal and then go online and ask a whole lot of other experts about how to care for the species. You should know how to care for it before you purchase it. Okay, so tip number 2 is when you bring your reptile home, quarantine it. Guys, I recently did a video that'll be linked up here. And quarantining is really important because you don't know what that animal is carrying. It could be carrying mites, especially if it's from a reptile expo. There's hundreds of different or even thousands of different animals, and one may have a few mites and then it spreads around pretty quickly. So quarantine your animal, making sure the rest of your collection doesn't get mites or sick or anything like that. Just like upper respiratory infection. So just go watch that video. I explain a bit about quarantining your animals and the importance of it. Number 3 is don't go and get an animal that you can't care for in the long run. For instance, you go and buy an alligator when you know they get really large and will need a large enclosure, and you live in an apartment, a 1-bedroom apartment. Don't do that, guys, because then you know you cannot properly care for that animal. So that's dangerous to you and not fair on the animal. Because the fact is, it's not how many animals you have, but how you care for the animals that you do have. Number 4 is your setup must be ready before you bring your animal home. I know many people don't do this, and then you go scrounging around for a tub or something to put the animal in because you weren't set up beforehand. And this is why most experienced reptile keepers have extra cages at hand, because they have a list of species that they know that they want to get, and they provide enclosures for that species. So let's say you want couple of different terrestrial species that are tropical, so you already have an enclosure for that. If you may find that animal that you are looking for that may be really rare and you find it at a reptile expo, you know you can bring it home and you know you've done all your research on it, on how to care for it and how its enclosure must be set up. I'm not saying I'm an expert at reptile keeping. I have done it for 6 years, but I just have extra cages. But that's what most experienced reptile keepers do have. They have extra cages because they know they may find an animal that they want to get, and they must have that enclosure set up before they get the animal. Number 5, I see this especially in new snake or reptile keepers, as I did when I started, is hold your snake all the time when you just get it, especially if it's your first snake. So slow down, it can really stress the animal out, and that can cause a few issues like sickness or not eating even. Let it acclimate to you, your surrounding, and its enclosure. So I would suggest only handling the animal once you just receive it and you put it in the enclosure. Nothing more than that for a few days, and then every second day you can start taking it out and handling it for approximately 5 minutes. Less is even better, and then after about a month then you can get back into a normal routine and handle it as much as you want. But remember, don't take it out on a cold day if it's like a heat-loving species. So that'll be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you liked this video, hit that like button. And if you have any other tips, please let me know in the comments down below. Maybe I'll make a future video about this again. Thanks guys for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Bryce from Righteous Reptiles. Cheers.